Welcome to the Hold to Talk podcast with your hosts, Abby and Juliet. Did I say Juliet right? I said Juliet, didn't I? I don't know. That's all right. How do we listen to this? We need to listen to the whole thing back.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can edit it out. Yeah, fine. There we go.
Ollie, you're in my podcast.
Yeah. Hi.
No, yeah, you can feature later on, not now.
Yeah, we're not ready for you yet.
Okay. Abby, I'm actually terrified. I feel like so unprepped for this.
So I was like, why are we doing a podcast? And I thought it was relevant to say that we are sisters. I guess to introduce us, you know why we're doing the podcast. Why would I be? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?
Abby, I'm not ready.
You're going to have to be ready. I'm just going to start talking and then you can join in with yourself in a zone. So essentially, we are doing a podcast because we are sisters. We are each one of 4 sisters. I'm number 2 because second's the best. And she is number 4 because she is the baby. And we haven't lived in the same country for 4 years.
I've only lived here for 18 months.
And I've lived in Portugal this is actually my 4th year, but I haven't hit 4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but since I left England, because I left the UK first, me and Juliet, who are really close sisters, have done voice notes. And when I say voice notes, we're talking, we actually started introducing the voice notes as podcasts. We'd be like, podcast episode 1. And it would go on for ages. And it would just be a great way to catch each other up on what's going on in our lives. Was frustrating about that, I guess, in a way. We loved it, but was that we would go on for 45 minutes and forget what we'd said at the beginning, but we'd want to respond to it because some of those things are important. So we were finding it difficult to actually respond to every point in the podcast. So we decided to do an actual podcast because we were calling them that anyway. So that's why we're here. Introduce ourselves. So go on, Juliet, you introduce yourself because I feel like I've spoken a lot.
I can't do the podcast. Okay, I'm getting...
She's on TikTok. So she does stuff like this all the time. This is bizarre for me. Should not be bizarre.
No. I'm getting a bit of stage fright, so just bear with. My name is, I'm Juliet, but I'm on TikTok, like Abby just said, as Juliet Amy. And I started this TikTok when I moved to Boston from London, just documenting my experiences. And since then, I've grown a really amazing following of people. I think I have like 60
now.
Like 63,000. And I can't believe that is just insane. But people, basically, one of my main motivators to when Abby kind of came to me and said she wants to do a podcast and, we already talk anyway. Like, I think, she thought we had lots to talk about because we moved countries. And I get asked all the time because I have this following and because people are interested in either moving themselves or just their journey in general or moving to America because that's where I live. I have these questions all the time. And I feel like there's no space. When I moved here or before I moved here, there was absolutely none of this information online for me to get. It was all in bits and dribs and drabs. You might find something on the internet, but no real tangible human beings really like spilling it all, the good, bad and the ugly. So I just thought when Abby came to me, I thought actually we've got really good perspectives that we could talk about. And that's me.
And totally different as well, because Juliet's moved to the US, as she said, and I've moved from the UK to Portugal. So they were totally different places to live, totally different experiences when it comes to moving and visas and green cards and all of that sort of stuff. So I think hopefully it'll be really useful to everyone because I think the only things I found anything was I joined a couple of Facebook groups and also I think I saw some things on Reddit when it came to moving. But other than that, until I'd actually moved here, I didn't find out a lot of the information that would have been really, really useful before I had actually moved.
And also not just like the tangible information, it's also like the feelings. That's what you don't find on the internet. And sometimes those feelings are confusing. That's what I like to tell people on my TikTok, which is why it would be nice there's a central place that I can point them to for that.
Yeah, definitely. So why did you move, Juliet? You start with that one.
Well, you haven't even introduced your bloody self. No one knows who you are. Sorry, there's just a randomer on the podcast that needs to leave.
I'm Abby. And I have a family, so in a slightly different place I'm older than Julia, but a slightly different place in my life. I've got 3 boys and a husband now. We got married last year, although not officially married, and that's a whole nother podcast. and that's Portugal, with anything to do with legal things. And yeah, so I moved to Portugal 3.5 years ago.
I have a husband as well and 2 dogs. You might know them as well from TikTok.
So why did I move? Actually, Mike reminded me the other day, my husband, his name's Mike. He actually said that, Mike, that's how I
She only says Mike like that. So the fact that she just said it in such a normal voice is actually quite shocking to me.
It's probably weird for you. You have to hear it like that, because normally I'm sitting I'm either working or when the kids are like, Mike!
It sends shivers down his, mine, and everybody else's spine.
Also, to note, the reason I started that is because Mike was in the army. He went to Afghanistan and he's partially deaf from it. So he can't hear me. So unless I'm actually physically shouting, everyone takes the piss, but unless I'm actually physically shouting, he can't hear me.
That is true.
Which is really annoying. Why did we move? Me and Mike always had said that we wanted to live abroad. Mike is super, I used to use the word like flighty. Like, he's lived in Egypt and Afghanistan. Obviously, he was deployed there. He doesn't stay in one place. And when he came to London to be with me.
Abby, I mentioned he's Danish. He's actually not English.
He's actually Danish. He's not English, yeah. And moved away when he was like 16. Yeah, so when we got back in touch and we started getting more serious, we'd said that we were going to move abroad, but then I fell pregnant with my eldest son, who is now 9. I think because we kind of like were living how our parents were living. And even though Mike kept saying, are we going to go? Are we going to go? I think I just was like, oh my gosh, it's my first child. And I didn't have the greatest birthing experience. And then he had lots of allergies and stuff after. And then we just ended up staying, decided I wanted another child. He didn't want any more children. There was a moment between us about that. And then I fell pregnant again and it was twins, which was a big surprise to us. And then we just stayed.
And then there was another moment about that.
And there was a big moment about that. Again, for another phone. I was always nervous to move to a country that didn't speak English, because I was like, how am I even going to get a job? Like, no one's going to hire me. But I'm virtual assistant now, so I can have a job anywhere in the world. So then we decided to move. And we thought we would do it while our kids were young, because then we're not kind of grabbing them away from their friends or any like nurtured relationships that they have. And if we hated it, we could go back without sort of making it a massive problem for them. And we chose Portugal because Portugal was close enough to the UK. It had the weather that we wanted. We're in the Algarve, so we're in the south. It's safe for children. It's like an outdoor, slow living place. And you, Julia?
I really thought about this the other night, and it's actually a little bit deep. We grew up going to the US a lot, like every single chance that we could have. When we were out of school, we were in Florida in our vacation home or Disney or whatever we were doing. And this is where it's like a little bit deep, where like our parents didn't get along, like they weren't in a happy marriage, and at home in the UK it wasn't good. Like a lot of the time it was just arguing or just not spending any time together, not eating at the same time. Like it was very dysfunctional. And then we would go to the US, and I put this on this pedestal because I saw them happy there, or like we'd all go out for dinner together, or I could see them laugh at each other, or saw some sort of glimpse of happiness from our parents. So as a child, that instantly makes you feel safety. So I would go to Florida thinking like, this is my happy place. And I remember we'd go there for like 6 weeks at a time in the summer holidays. And at the end of that, like I remember like crying myself to sleep some nights thinking I don't want to go home, because it's not good at home, Yeah. Like this is where we're happiest. So like that's kind of what I think I've always had in the back of my head. And I've always thought America, 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 like growing up, just how am I going to get there? How am I going to get, that's the pinnacle of happiness. And obviously now as an adult, it doesn't mean that, of course not. And obviously when I came here, I didn't get to move to Florida. We moved here with Ollie's work, and we're in Boston, Massachusetts, which we'd never been to before. I was very skeptical of that. Like I didn't know what to expect, but luckily we absolutely love it. Job had an opportunity to go to California, and obviously that's quite far from family, but I was going to take it, like whatever way I could get over here I was going to take it. And then we just decided that the best opportunity was going to be with Ollie's job, which was going to Boston, and the safest option for us. So we moved to Boston, and luckily like we've had like the most amazing time. We're so happy here. But it definitely made me realize that actually now not only have I got the feeling of it being this like pedestal like place to be, I actually can back that up with tangible, real things that make it that for me. And that's kind of like how I feel about living here, is actually like I've backed it up with real facts, not just feelings and emotions.
Our view sort of started to shift and change when we had kids, because we sort of felt like we didn't want to be too far away from Copenhagen and London, so that we could see our families. And then, there was just like that yeah, just to kind of be able to go back and see everybody and remain in everyone's lives, you know, because it's literally, well, to go back to the UK, it's like 3 hours, 2.5 hours on the plane, and similar, I think it's about 3.5, 4. So it's not difficult to get to anyone. But I definitely remember as well the times being in England, being in the US, especially in Florida, and seeing our parents at their happiest and with us,
Yeah.
you know, in those happier times. It is the happiest place on earth. I still stand by that Disney is the happiest place on earth. I don't know what anyone has to say about that. Michael doesn't always agree, but it is the truth. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and I'd be interested to know your answer to it, is what shocked you the most in your first week? Can you remember your first week sort of landing? You had quite a hectic week, didn't you?
Yeah, so our first week was actually probably one of the most nerve-wracking weeks, because exciting at the same time, obviously. But most people that move to a new country go and like spec it out first, like see if they like it, even maybe have a look at areas they might want to live in, whatever. Like, we just did not have the time between us getting our visa to come and visit Boston at all. So we were coming into a completely new area, new place in the country that I've never been to. And we had the clothes on our back and the 6 suitcases and just had to make it work. Obviously, Ollie's business, like his company, put us up in Fenway, which is an area here in Boston. And yeah, it was the first time I lived in a city before. So that was really scary. I'm actually
oh my gosh, yes, because you were scared of London.
Yeah.
When we used to go out as a family into London, just even for dinner or whatever it was, Juliet would absolutely brick it. And then you would, like, I think one time, do you remember that time when we were driving through London, a person threw an egg at Dad's car?
I lost it.
And you just lost control and thought we were being shot at or something and just hit the
Yeah.
deck and was like, absolutely.
We're from like a slower suburb outside of London. So
Yeah.
when we used to go into the city, I used to think it was this big scary thing where crime happened, because we didn't really see crime, but you see crime in London. Like you may see crime, like it's very overpopulated.
I think Mum and Dad also really scare Monkajuk. They didn't do it with me. Like, I didn't see London like that. I saw it as like, I didn't want to live in London. I don't think I'm a city girl, but I loved going in there to the clubs and the bars or to the restaurants, like with my friends.
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
No,
Mate.
you wouldn't even taken the train. And actually, out of all 4 of us, you were the one that ended up working in London, taking the train every day.
Yeah, I used to be scared every day, and I used to wear a scarf the full way around my head under the underground, because just so you know, like 80% of that air is dead skin cells, and I wasn't letting my skin go for shit for nobody. Yeah.
Such gross information.
What was I saying again? Oh yeah. Oh, so the first week, things that shocked me the most. We moved in the winter, so it's pretty cold.
As in, like, sleeping cold, yeah.
It wasn't. No, it got so much worse than that. It gets so much worse. But I was like thinking, this is cold, and then woo, Boston knows how to get cold. But it was just, you know what it was? I genuinely was just shocked at how much I loved it. I was shocked at how beautiful it was, because it was like, as we were leading up to it, I was getting more and more repelled of moving. Like, I think the closer you get to it, you think, actually, no, I don't think so. I think maybe we're making the wrong decision. I was looking at pictures of it online and thinking, oh, I don't know, I don't like cities, I don't know. And then you get thrown into it, and then I don't know, I just realized that this is such a great city. It's such a walkable, like, lovely city. It's beautiful, it's quiet.
Yeah, you liked it straight away. Like, I remember talking to you when you just got over there, and it was like, it didn't faze you at all. You were excited to look at apartments because you just wanted to get out of that apartment, didn't you? That you were put in first. You just wanted to get your own space and settle.
Yeah, and Fenway, as cool as Fenway is, it's just we weren't like wanting to stay in that area.
Yeah.
So yeah, we moved out of there. But I think the only other thing that I said to you, I remember at the time, was just like when Ollie went to work, because at first we were just like tourists, like touring around the city, just taking it all in. Then he had to go to work, and I'm at home on my own.
Yeah.
I obviously piggybacked off of his jobs, and I'm sitting there looking out the window and thinking, like, nobody knows who I am. He's the only emergency contact I've got in this country. Like, it is daunting. It's like, if something happened to me, if I drop dead now and he's at work, who's going to help me?
Yeah, no one.
Nobody.
But you had, what job? You had a job that was remote, didn't you? Or you hadn't started work yet on the first week?
I had a remote job, and obviously, like, that in itself was quite lonely, because it just meant that I wasn't meeting anyone. And that's why, you know, Ollie was going out to work and telling me that he'd made friends, or like he was talking to people at work, and I was like, not jealous, because I was so happy for him to do that, but the part of me was just like, how the hell am I going to do that?
Yeah, and that was a big worry for you. I don't know. I think it's the same for most people, is when you have kids, it seems to be easier to meet people because you're dropping your kids off at the school, you meet other parents, you chat. I was picking up numbers in the coffee shop. You know, literally. I was literally asking people for their number like I was trying to date them.
But you're much more like that than me.
100%, because that was literally my next comment was, you were like, Juliet is so different to me. Juliet is quite happy in her own company and her own space. If she speaks to just Ollie, this is how you used to be in the UK. I don't know if you're the same now, because I think you're more sociable now, but she'd only speak to Ollie for a whole month. Genuinely, Juliet was satisfied. She couldn't care less if she'd spoken to anyone. You would, like, I think all of our sisters would say 100% the same thing. If they didn't hear from you, probably in a year, it wouldn't be a surprise. Seriously, it wouldn't.
No, but let me.
You don't need that social thing.
Yeah, let me explain. It is just like I don't get charged up by human interactions. I get a bit drained by it. And I'm sure there's many people that relate by that. Abby can't go on a car journey without calling someone. I don't know how she does it. She's the opposite of me. Like, she can't be in her own company, and like that's the complete opposite of me. And I guess that's why we get along so well.
I was really nervous because I moved, and it was the first time I was doing a remote job. And I say it now to my friends, I literally sit at this desk, exactly where I am currently, work from like the minute we drop the kids to school all the way through to the end of the day, and I'm on my own. Mike gets home and I literally verbal diarrhea all over him because I cannot, I just can't. And even sometimes I don't even have that much to say, but I will find things will be said. He will hear what I've got to say. And because he's partially deaf from the army, as I mentioned earlier, I genuinely think most of the time he just can't hear me and completely zones me out. And I just like that. I'm a quick talker as well, as you probably picked up.
Yeah, so sorry. Maybe if that's the feedback, please let us know.
Because I also verbal diarrhea into the microphone. Another great thing. But what did you say was the most shock, that when Ollie left, you then felt isolated? Because that's not a feeling you were used to feeling in the UK. You could quite happy because you were working remotely in England.
I think I'm actually most shocked at how much I wanted to get out and find friends, because like you said, that's not really my natural like way to be. But like, I was like, right, I have to do this because I have to make this work. Yeah. I did, and you were really shocked. I remember you podcasting me.
I was shocked. I was shocked. And I love to hear the stories, which we will go into at a later date, of how funny Juliet's friendship dating went. I'm going to call it friendship dating because that's exactly what it is.
I was dating for friends.
She was out there putting herself out there, single, ready to mingle for friendships, married.
Which was so brave for me because it's really not natural. All my friends at home are like, I've been friends with for like 20 years since I was in primary school.
It was really cool actually to see how much you had changed when you moved to Boston and you were able to just really put yourself out there, because that's not something I ever expected. I was saying to Mike before, I'm not sure how she's going to do it. I knew you didn't care about having, literally, I just be friends with Ollie's friends' wives and girlfriends. That's how I envisioned it. Like, you'll just make friends via Ollie because Ollie's Ollie's good at making friends, and he's very
just to be frank, that's what Ollie's doing now to me. He's piggybacking off of my friends. So thank you for that.
So when I first moved over, we got an Airbnb in the area we knew we wanted to live in because my older son was going to school. Out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, I put the twins to bed. We put Harrison to bed. That's what my oldest is called, Harrison. And come downstairs, and then I can hear one of my twins like screaming. And they were, when we moved, they must have been.
Can I just put a quick disclaimer out here before you continue this story, just because they need to get a little bit of background on you. Just so you know, get ready for many, many, many stories of mishaps from Abby. She's one of those calamity people. You know, the ones that everything goes wrong, and it's just so funny to listen to. So this will be one of those ones.
Actually, so this is a funny one. Although this week, honestly, I'm not going to go into this.
See what I mean?
This week, I can't wait to be over, and it's only Monday. So I started hearing one of my twins shouting. So I went up, and actually I think Mike went up, and our other twin wasn't breathing like that. He couldn't catch his breath, and he's never had a problem with asthma or anything like that before. So we sort of picked him up, and he was getting panicky, which is making the breathing situation work, and we were sort of hugging him. So just to like put a pin for a second. My twin, Harvey, saved Hagen because he was having, oh my gosh, it's gone out of my brain, that cough, croup cough. And so he'd coughed so much and was trying to intake so much that he couldn't breathe. So I then start flapping, like this is me flapping. And I'm like,
Doing nothing to help.
Mike, like this, Mike. I don't know what he did. Mike, what? He's not breathing. He's not breathing. And then, so Mike's handed him to me because I'm then trying to calm him down. And we had really randomly. So the house that we had like, as you come out the front door on the left was the garage. And in the garage was someone living that was also renting because she'd Airbnb just the garage.
There was a random man in the garage of the house.
This Brazilian man called Daniel. And so, like, it goes banging on the door, Daniel, because we just assumed we'd literally been in Portugal for less than a week that the ambulance is not going to be able to speak English. So we're banging on the door. Daniel answers the door, and we knew he could speak English because we'd seen him a few times, and said, "Please, can you call the help us with the ambulance? He's not breathing. We need them to come." And he did. He was amazing. I kid you not, in less than a minute, maybe 2 minutes, there were 3 ambulances that turned up because it was a child not breathing. 3 ambulances. There was an incident in the UK in London where I had to call the ambulance for Harvey on a different occasion. Why am I calling the ambulance so much? I can't remember what that was for. And it took ages. They sent someone, like a volunteer from bumfuck nowhere that came over and doesn't know what they're doing. And you're like, took them 3 and then they came in, they put him on a nebulizer, they put him in the ambulance. But my point is, what shocked me the most, not only was how good they were, because they were amazing with him, they had the 3 ambulances that turned up. They called ahead at hospitals to see if there was a paediatric surgeon on or A&E, and they were just so brilliant with him. I think that my shock in this story, and it was that I don't think I'd realised before how much I relied on everyone that lived around me, because Mike could go, but I couldn't, because I still had Harvey and Harrison at home with me, so I couldn't leave and go with my baby. Whereas normally I'd have just picked up the phone to mum, been like, "Can you come over? Hagen's not breathing," and it would have been within 10 minutes. Yeah. You don't think about those types of things. You just think about obviously all the good things, why you're there, and all the positive things, but not necessarily when an emergency happens, who are you going to call? It isn't going to be Ghostbusters, is it? It's going to be.
Well, I think as well, like we all lived very, very close to each other in England. Like I literally lived opposite my grandparents. I lived 5-minute walk from my dad.
And didn't you love it? And didn't you love that? Living opposite grandpa.
Now that's another episode, and out of respect for the grandparents, we will not go there.
The matriarch of the family, we're not going to say a thing.
No, we're not doing that. We're not going there. But I think, we were just so living so close to them, not only living in the same country as them, but living so close to them. So even just like that would have been so easy for you to handle with them there. And that obviously, imagine that happening in your first week when you move abroad and you instantly think, I've made a massive mistake.
Yeah. Would mum and dad approve? Well, we're going to think about things that we think mum and dad may or may not approve of. Both had to basically go away and think about it, because we talked about this last week about putting this in. What did Juliet think about would mum and dad approve?
So there's two things I think, which is definitely a shock to me, which I didn't say in the shocks compartment of that. Is it even compartment? Part of our podcast. Was Boston being extremely expensive to live, and you don't realise that until you actually move here. People talk about London being expensive, but Jesus, Boston is another level, right?
Insane.
You get paid more on your salaries, but it's very, very expensive. So I feel like parents visited me very, very shortly after I moved here to check out where I was living. Obviously, you want to see that their daughter's safe and like, where are you living now? Yeah. And when they both came, they were just shocked at how I could afford to live here. Every single time we went out to eat, they were just like, "Juliet, how are you affording to eat here? This is ridiculous prices."
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain to them that obviously the salaries are different. Like it does kind of line up, but even then obviously it's very expensive. That's one of the things that I think they weren't not approving of, but I think they were just like, what have you done? Like, you're going to put yourself in the shit.
How are you going to continue this lifestyle?
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing? But actually it's fine. And then the second one was definitely me. Maybe again, I'm a bit worried to say this because I'm like, I don't know if it's good or not, but I feel I live here and I feel safe walking around in the city at nighttime on my own. I have 2 dogs, and sometimes Ollie's out and I have to take them for a walk from my apartment. make sure they do the toilet. I have never felt unsafe. I always keep my wits about me, and you make sure that you're, anyway, I feel like they were really not happy about me doing that. I don't do it a lot, but I do it sometimes, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's safe. But unless
Yeah.
you live here, you don't know that necessarily. There's lots of people walking around on their own at night time. As long as you're not in sketchy areas, and you're good.
Which is a lot different to London. You do not want to be
Mm.
walking, especially now, in certain areas of London at night time.
Mm.
My answer to would mum and dad approve was literally or nothing.
Nothing.
When I first moved here,
They literally were like boycotting her.
they literally went berserk. And like bad. We all had a falling out. When I was thinking about it, it was like, it's more than just me. And I don't think I paid as much attention when me and Mike decided to move, at the impact it would have that we were taking away their grandchildren as well. Not taking away, but like, no, they couldn't get to see them every day. No, every week wasn't a possibility anymore. And missing them grow up through their like little cute stage when they're being all, cute. Even you say like sometimes you miss them because you're just missing those milestones and stuff within their lives. So yeah, I mean, mum and dad did not approve of me moving abroad. One, especially moving to Portugal. Two, they had a real issue with what was I going to do? How was I going to earn any money? Like, how they thought it
I guess
through.
we haven't really spoken about how there's a stark difference between them being totally on board with me moving to Boston and totally not on board with Abby. And Abby actually was the one that laid the foundation for me to move because she was the guinea pig. She was brave enough to move first, and she got a lot of shit for it. And I just think mum and dad just don't give a shit about me, and they're like, yeah, fuck off. You can go.
If that makes you feel better, it certainly makes me feel better about the situation.
They give Abby such a hard time.
Such a hard time. It was such a hard time. We've always been such a close-knit family, so anyone choosing to just get out was like, but what's crazy about it and what was frustrating at the time was mum and dad wanted to move to the States. So to then have an issue, it wasn't like, it was about me moving, and I think it was about me moving with the kids, but it was about me not moving and following the dream that they clearly had and thinking like kind of what you've done, which is like following their footsteps to, USA is the best place to live in the whole world in their eyes. And whereas like where I was choosing just didn't seem as good in their eyes.
I still think if you said me and Mike are moving to the US, I still think they would have been
Do you
upset by
think?
that. Yeah, I still think that. I think it's different for me. One, because they hate me, and two, I'm joking. It's different for me because it's just Ollie and I and our dogs, and I think they saw. I've been trying for years and years and years to move here, actively trying, and they saw great opportunity for us with Ollie's work being a promotion, and it was different. Like you didn't know what was going to unfold with your move.
No, we didn't think about every single. I mean, some of it, to be honest, I hope he's not listening. We blagged some of it to him and was like, yeah, no, of course we've thought about that, or of course we're going to do that, because it was just about. I don't know why I valued his opinion. This is a bit of a therapy session. So highly. Do you know what I mean? Why did it matter? I'm an adult. I'm a mother of three.
It would always matter.
I was still bothered by his opinion about whether I was leaving or not.
Because your parents are always the loudest voice in your head.
Yeah.
We're still inner children. Like, we're still children inside, and we always want our validation from our parents. It makes you feel unsafe if your parents don't think you're making a good decision.
100%. And especially with the way dad is with us, his approval holds a lot of weight. Mum's too, but in a different way. Dad's is very much like, 100% that word unsafe. I think it's always good to like, it wasn't all smooth sailing. It isn't always smooth sailing. And you have to, at the end of the day, make your own calls and think, I know what I think is best for me and my family and the lifestyle that we are choosing to have for our kids. And it may not marry up with what my mum and dad had envisioned for me, for my kids, or for themselves. But that's okay.
I think as well, like, it's really hard when you really want something in your life to think of it like this. But I feel like from the parents' point of view, it is so crushingly hard to watch your children leave you, and like no matter how old you are, and then you also add on top of their grandkids on top of that, who they absolutely adore to pieces. It's really, really tough for them. So I do totally like empathize with how hard that is, and you would, they're doing everything they possibly can to make you change your mind. It's really hard for them. I can't imagine how that would feel. Imagine your boys saying to you.
Yeah. And also I think with the difference between me and you, what you said earlier was like, you'd planned it for years. I didn't tell them. Like me and Mike did all the research. We'd come to Portugal. We'd even strategized so much. We got our kids Danish passports because at the time England was outside of the EU. So we knew we weren't going to be able to get across easily. It was going to cost a whole bomb to get visas. So if my kids and Mike had a Danish passport, they were part of the EU, it was easy enough for us to move here. So it wasn't, we didn't tell anyone. We got all of that done. And then one day I was like, by the way, we're moving to Portugal.
It wasn't one day. It was, I remember, it was Mike WhatsApped in the family group. It was savage as fuck. No, let's fucking unpack that. Because it wasn't, she wasn't like, oh, hi guys, like, come over to my house, I'm going to reveal. Her husband.
I just get.
She got so scared to tell people that she was moving that Mike WhatsApp messaged the family group chat, whole announcement, and mum and dad just read it and ignored it and couldn't actually deal with it. That's what actually happened. I actually was very lucky that Abby took me for a Chinese. Yeah, you took me for a Chinese to tell me.
Mm.
And you told me before mum, and mum was really upset with me that I didn't tell her that.
And I didn't tell. I think I'd only told you. But I knew you were looking to move to the US, so I knew you would be okay. Like, I knew that I'd hear what I want to hear from you about. Just do it. You'll back me a bit. The kind of
Abby chickened out of telling her parents.
100% Mike did, and that was bad. I got told off for that. But
I think that's right, though. To be fair, that was.
It was savage, wasn't it? Somewhere actually we'll have that message. I would love to read that out someday and just kind of see. I'm going to end on this. Just before Juliet decided to move to the US, was you at me or was I you? I can't remember. You'll probably remember better than me because my memory's terrible.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, we were having an evening in, and I was like, we should watch a movie. And we were looking through movies, trying to figure out what it was that we were going to watch. And
I was over in Portugal.
You were in Portugal? Yes. I decided to put on the Boston Strangler with Keira Knightley, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just before she
And
moved.
the night before that, we watched the John Wayne Gacy tapes. And then the day after that, she said, let's watch the Boston Strangler. And I was moving to Boston like a month later after that.
I was like, no, please don't. I'm not that mean, but it was a good movie. And
I said, Abby, let's choose something else. I'm not sure. I was like, I'm not sure. Let's choose something else. I'm not sure. She was like, no, this is a really good movie. We're going to watch it. I was like,
Keira Knightley.
Right.
Problem here.
Yeah.
I think so. But you're welcome, because I think that makes you great at walking around at nighttime on your own, being ready for anything that happens. That's the most important thing. I think if you have any questions for us, please write in the comments, because you can. I'll turn on the comments and stuff. And let us know what you thought. Let us know if any ideas. Please be really active on giving us your feedback so that we can improve, because we will have a lot of improvement to do. Cool.
We've got so much more tips and information and things to say, but we just wanted you to get to know us a bit better first.
Exactly. So subscribe, follow, whatever it is that you have to do.
I mean, you have to like and subscribe, otherwise we are nobody.
Exactly. So